Hello, hello, and welcome to Death Cafe with me, your Latinx death doula and bruja, Pastel Supernova. This is where I hold heart-led conversations about death, dying, and loss. I share personal journeys and speak with insightful minds about everything to do with the inevitable. In this episode, I am going to have a check-in with you. Today, the memorials will be stories from people and creatures in my life that I would like to remember. This year, we're in April, but this year has been very challenging for me. There have been a lot of endings and anniversaries of endings and new beginnings with new challenges. So I will tell you a little bit about what's been going on because it wouldn't be right to hold space for other people and have them tell all of their deep personals without me doing some of the same. So the first person I would like to pull up is my mother. If you listen to this podcast, you know I speak about her a lot, and that's because she was an unforgettable person. And this year, leading towards the anniversary of her death, grief hit hard. It hit harder than it's hit in a long time. In previous years, the day had passed me by without me even noticing. But this time, my body remembered. I wasn't paying attention to dates. I just started to really feel heavy and sorrowful and frustrated. And when I finally realized that February 8th was coming up, I understood why. And I retreated, as I do when times are hard. I get quiet. I got quiet. I took time for myself and I did a lot of crying. My mother died in 2019. And this time, this year, it felt so fresh. And I was away from family. I've moved cities. And so I grieved for her alone. And although grief is a solo journey, I really had, or I felt that I had no one to hold on to and cry with me. Her birthday was the following month, exactly 1 month later on March 8th, on International Women's Day. And by then I felt better. And as tradition has it, I went to a fast food restaurant and I had a dirty sweet treat in her honor. Uh, my mom loved fast food. She was so funny and so ridiculous and she loved hard and I felt it. I felt her presence. And so I held ceremony for her in my way. The grief came hard and it faded in a way that made it feel like a dream. Soon after, I found out that a mentor of mine died. When I was in university, I was in dance program. I got a Bachelor of Fine Arts before I became a death doula. And Nadia was the director of the dance program at Toronto Metropolitan University. She was fierce. She was slightly terrifying, incredibly funny, and beautiful. Beautiful to look at, beautiful to watch move, but also beautiful in the way that is unforgettable. She had bright blue eyes and they twinkled. They constantly twinkled like she had a secret, and she'd let us in on the secret sometime. Nadia had cervical cancer, and she died by MAID, which is medical assisted death. And it hit me how courageous that must have been. One thing is to not know when we're going to die, and another is to choose the exact moment. But she had had cancer for a while, and she said she was ready. I hadn't seen her in a very long time, and I found out about her death a month later. But she actually died around the same time, the same dates as the death anniversary as my mother. Uh, they were both brave, and everyone who knew my mom knew how funny she was. I found out later in a memorial that the university held in Nadia's honor that she also wanted to be reminded or remembered for her humor. So I will share a story that was funny to me. I still think it's funny. Some people who are not dancers might think this is terrible and fiercely traumatic, but I'm just prefacing with you had to be there. In ballet class, Nadia had a way of making you pull up, dance like you wanted to dance, be present in the room and show up. And so the first exercise in a ballet class are pliés. It's a warm up. You're standing by a bar and you're just doing some graceful bends in every direction. And the exercise is beautiful, even though it's a warm up, because that's the way ballet is. But all through bar and starting at pliés, Nadia would stand at the front of the bar. This was often where I liked to stand. And she would place a fake gun in her mouth. Today, I don't know if that would really land, but uh, she would stand there, and if she felt like you weren't present, if you weren't dancing like your life depended on it, she would shoot herself in the face with her fake handgun and die. And she would be on the floor, dead. And you'd literally have to dance around and over her dead body to revive her. She was a different time. Nadia was a principal dancer in the National Ballet of Canada for many, many years. She got to dance with Baryshnikov and Nureyev, and she was known as having the best arabesque, which is uh, her arms, her grace, her poise was legendary. After that, she taught at Ryerson slash Toronto Metropolitan University. And that's where I got to be under her tutelage for 4 years. And they were pivotal. Every time she spoke, she had this glitter in her eye that just sparkled and felt like what she had to say was vital information. And she always made me feel like I was the only person in the room in the best way possible. And sometimes when I'd speak to other students after class, they felt the same way. Some of us felt attacked and some of us felt praised. But really, that just depended on our mood and our insecurities and how passionate she was delivering her message. She was a very, very special person. And I remember, along with all of the life lessons she gave me that were lessons about how to understand a career in a professional dance world. She was also the first person I ever learned about who was willing to leave dance for a few years to fully investigate if she wanted to continue dancing. She left her calling just to make sure that it was still her calling. When I found that out, that blew my mind because in the dance world, we're told as soon as you leave, or if you mess up, or if you don't want this, there's, at least 1,000 other people at the door who want the job. So to have the courage to leave and the confidence to know that if I want it, I can come back and get it and continue and have more success rocked me. And it motivated me to really pursue life differently. Nadia had a lot of funny traits. She was charismatic and strong in class, but then in between classes, she'd hug her clipboard and walk very quickly from one place to another. Shy or thinking about things, definitely introverted and, on the move. Recently, it's also come to the anniversary of my beautiful late cat Meow's death. Meow lived for 19 years, and I speak about her often because she too was a great mentor. For those of you who don't get it, I don't know what to say. Pets, animal friends, familiars are special creatures, and if you get to have that bond, you get to understand how special it is. I often felt like Meow was similar to Luna from Sailor Moon, who had to yell and scream at Sailor Moon to focus on the important things while silly Sailor Moon was getting caught up in love problems and material complications that really didn't matter when it was her calling to save the world. I don't know if I'm here to save the world, but Meow definitely yelled. She was named Meow because of how vocal she was. But it was important to me that she did talk so much because Meow chose me. When she moved in from a neighbor's house and stalked me quietly for a year and wouldn't talk to me. She'd just watch me through the window every time I was in the kitchen, look out the window. And there'd be this cat who just decided to start sitting in front of that window and stare inside. She started to come in over time. And I remember feeling like a terrible other woman when my neighbor, who was her rightful owner, came to me and asked if she was hanging out with me because when Meow, back then known as Diva, would go back to her original home, she smelled like my perfume. But that neighbor was gracious, way more gracious than I would have been, and accepted Meow's decision, mainly because there was another cat in the house that was bullying her. And she made me promise that I would take good care of her. And so I did. And because Meow was an outdoor cat who I saw nose goop squirrels, raccoons, possums, and dogs, uh, I promised her that a window would always be open for her to leave, but that I would make it my duty to have a home that she would want to return to. And so over moves and marriages and relationships and all of my daily drama, and Meow stayed with me and kept coming home back to me. She slept in my arms. She taught me how to understand cat. And she really made me understand unconditional love. I had had other pets before, but I won't ever forget how wonderful she made me feel every time she came back to me. Right up until the last day, we cuddled, and she was sick, so I had to do the responsible thing and get her euthanized. And I remember every moment of it, before, during, and after. I threw up right after. And the next day, I stayed home from work because the grief was too hard and I wanted to be alone. And that's when I remembered our pact. I couldn't call her in because she was a free spirit. And that busted me because I'm a spiritual person and I like to call spirits in. I like to call my loved ones in. But this was one thing I promised I would never do. And so I grieved and cried. My knuckles were white and my knees buckled. And either the day after or 2 days after, I was still home taking time to be quiet and let the tears come. And something caught my eye outside. So I went to the front door and I opened it. And on the sidewalk, I saw a wind current pick up. And I saw it because it was picking up dust. And it created a little whirlwind, looked like a teeny tiny hurricane. But instead of spiraling around in a circle like they often do, this one started traveling in a straight line on the sidewalk in front of my front lawn. And then it started to come up my driveway, still spinning like a tiny little hurricane. And it came up my porch steps. And I don't think I had time to think about anything. I was transfixed by the visual. The dust had picked up and it was about 3 feet high. And as soon as it got to my feet, I felt this rush of air coming through my chest. And from the moment Meow had passed away, I felt like a searing hole had been created in my heart center through my back. I felt like my spine was exposed and it felt hot and almost like a lightsaber had just cauterized the edges, but there was a hole in my back. And when this little breath, this tiny little whirlwind, tiny hurricane came in and hit my chest with air, it was almost like it went through me and sealed my back. And at that moment, I was convinced that Meow had chosen yet again to come in and sleep nuzzled next to my heart. I will go to the grave believing that. Why not? And when I feel emotional like I'm feeling now, it's almost like I can see a tiny little curled up cat inside my rib cage, somewhere between my spine and my heart center. It gets warm and I remember her love. So 3 major mentors: my mother, Anna, my ballet teacher, Nadia, and my cat, Meow, all took a prominent role in the beginning of this year. And so I've been giving them time and I've been giving myself time to remember them. I've also moved cities, and that came with a lot of changes. And moving to Toronto once again feels really, really good, but it's been challenging finding a death doula role in places where I think there should be a death doula, in a place where I feel like it should be no question, like a hospice or a hospital or a vet clinic or a funeral home, there hasn't yet been any interest in having a death doula. A lot of places still don't even know what a death doula is. So there's a lot of work to be done, and I continue pushing, and I will not be defeated. But the challenges have been real. I have been doing a lot of art, working on collaborations with artists. I've been working on short films, photography. I've been taking art classes, drawing, and also doing life modeling. And the question has been brought up many times, but especially now that I'm working with so many artist friends here in the city that have to do with whether or not my art is going to get in the way of my work as a death doula. And to that, I adamantly say no, because I am an outspoken spiritual person, and a lot of my work is quite provocative. But that is how I express. And as a death doula, I am not here to hold space for anyone but my clients. I am expressing the way that I love and feel the call to do. I also feel like if my clients don't know who I truly am, that's not really fair. And if my lifestyle or artwork or spiritual beliefs does not flow with them, then perhaps I'm not the right death doula for them. But I also feel like there are a lot of people like me in this world who need an open mind and a non-judgmental setting for their most important steps out of this world. And there it is. I hope this little bit of honesty has found you well. Please contact me with any topics of discussion, or if you want to be on the podcast. Share this with anyone who would like this type of conversation, and find me on my website at deathdoulapastel.com, on Instagram at deathdoulapastel, and over email info@pastelsupernova.com. Until next time, blessings and respect.